when Paul was writing to the young disciple Timothy, who was a kind of mentor, he encouraged him to enlarge his faith. This is no new theme, for in the gospel, the early followers asked Jesus to increase their faith. Let me read the context in which that request comes from Luke's gospel, chapter 17, verses 5 through to 10. The apostles said to the Lord, "Increase our faith." He replied, "If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mulberry tree, 'Be uprooted and planted in the sea,' and it will obey you. Suppose one of you has a servant ploughing or looking after sheep. Will he say to the servant when he comes to the field, 'Come along now and sit down to eat'? Won't he rather say, 'Prepare my supper, get yourself ready and wait on me while I eat and drink. After that you may eat and drink'? Will he thank the servant because he did what he was told to do? So you also, when you've done everything you were told to do, you say, 'We are unworthy servants. We have only done our duty.'" There's a great challenge in here, a challenge about faith to those early disciples. The second half of that passage there all relates to why we do things and how we do things. But the faith of the early church and the faith of the early disciples often centers upon some of the great themes, such as forgiveness. God's demand for them was great. It's no wonder the disciples went to Jesus and said, "Increase our faith. We've so much to do, so many places to go, so many messages to give. We're facing the fact that we're persecuted. Some of us are being cast out of our homes." In the early church, that was the kind of thing that was happening. So you can see these words speaking into a context and out of a context. And I suspect the theme of forgiveness is one that stretches each of us as we seek to understand what it means to follow Jesus Christ. Other times when you go to God and you say, "Increase my faith, because I'm not sure that I can cope with all that's before me." The sheer weight of work, the sheer demands that are being made. The power of faith is described in terms of one who had the faith the size of a mulberry or a mustard seed. As Christians, we affirm the fact that faith is the most powerful force in all the world. Now, when you look back over time, it's inspired many to do selfless things. Many people have given themselves to causes. They've given themselves to service. Week after week on this program, we meet some amazing people who have given themselves to do things for other people. And that's all been because they've been inspired by faith. Faith that often has been so very small, but it's also enabled people to put their trust in others. Some people have had challenges to face. When I think of folks that would leave their home, leave their possessions, and go to either the other side of the world or into a situation that is very, very difficult, to do it, they've had to know what it is to trust. And trust is so important. So when the disciples go to Jesus and say, "Increase our faith," it could be that they're saying that because we've got so much to do and we can hardly begin to imagine how we're going to do it. It becomes the way in which we respond to God and his response to us. See, faith becomes the normal atmosphere. It's the setting, it's the ground, it's the cultivated land in which we live our lives. Because we live in a world where the larger seems to be the better. How often do we do that? So many people are not saying prayers, but they're saying, "Give me more, give me better situations." Here Jesus contests this point by suggesting that our faith is something very small, but it can be something much greater. So it's not a dream of something large, it's not a dream of something that's great. It starts with something very small. And by trusting God, we can face each and every situation that might lie before us. And for those disciples, they really had to face those kind of challenges because there were things that they had to do in the early life of the Christian church that were way over and above what we can imagine ever doing. Have you ever had a challenge in your life and you've really wondered what to do? We've heard somebody involved in chaplaincy today. And very often, if you're involved in that kind of work, you're hanging around listening to conversations and you're really wondering what you can say. It's because life is very challenging for many people. I think of young people who are looking at the future. What will they do with their lives? I think of people who've got challenges in their work and in their family life. It's as if Jesus is saying to the disciples, your faithfulness is what will make all the difference. If you put this faith that is as small as a grain of mustard into practice, then it will change the situations that you're in. And what does it mean to put your faith into practice? Well, you've got to work that out, and I've got to work that out. But I know that it doesn't mean being confident about yourself. It doesn't mean to say, I've got it all worked out. As we've said, a chaplain might, on this NRL day, we might be thinking of people who'll be really wishing their team to do well. The chaplain won't be doing that. He'll be actually behind the scenes saying, do the very best you can. What matters is you give 110% of effort, commitment and agility to the work that you're called to do. But it doesn't demand necessarily that you're going to always have victory, because it won't always be like that. But faithfulness is what makes all the difference. You go out there with faith, with commitment. And in life, we need to go out there, whatever our going out there is. It's not in a great stadium, it's in the stadium of life, where we have to exercise our faith and our hope. And it's that faithfulness that will fundamentally and ultimately make all the difference to the way our lives work out.